I'm Abdullah Arobunadi, and last week the title of the productivity hack series is doing digital archival research and textual analysis, and the the session was divided into two: um, digital archival research and textual analysis. So for last week, what we discussed basically was we discussed the first part of the lecture, which is doing digital archival research, the methodological issues that has to do with digital archival research, which is a question of authenticity and the sheer volume of resources you will be dealing with. And we also made mention of some tools or resources you can make use of in this doing digital archival research. And the main highlight of the lecture was what we call maintaining good digital hygiene when you carry out your research, or when you are carrying out research in either an institutional archive or your own personal research archives. And one of the key issues we discussed, or the key hygiene we discussed, was the rule of 3-2-1. Whenever you are storing your data, or whenever you are doing your research, it's very necessary, pertinent that you save them on three different media. What do I mean? You save either one in a flash drive, one on a hard drive, another one on a cloud service. Then the other two, you make the two is one is with you and the other one is the cloud. And the one rule is you try as much as possible to make sure that it's on a cloud service, even when you lost access to your phone or to the system got stolen. All you just need to do is to access that particular account, and you have your data or your resources with you. So having mentioned the key highlights, and we will be going into today's lecture, which is textual, the aspect of textual analysis. And let me also mention at this point that the world of textual analysis, it's growing, and at the pace with which the ICT is moving, so also textual analysis is moving. And I'll be limiting myself just to the field of humanities and social sciences. Of course, these two fields are the ones having much interest in textual analysis when it comes to field of literary studies, media studies, anthropology, and what have you. As a way of introduction, textual analysis simply means applying computational methods to text to uncover patterns, meaning, and relationships. Let me share my screen. So please, can you hear me? Are you seeing the screen? Are you seeing the screen on the PowerPoint on your screen? Moderator, can you see the PowerPoint on your screen?
Not yet, sir.
But can you see it now?
Yes, you can see now.
Okay. So these are the parts we'll be covering in the lecture. Introduction to the topic, just like I was mentioning. And the introduction, textual analysis as over the world has become it's going beyond the text itself to uncover patterns, meanings at a much deeper level, even more than what has even been written. So that's the simple meaning of textual analysis. And textual analysis, we also uncover relationships through traditional close reading, and also using quantitative methods. So these quantitative methods, when we look at the aspect of the tools we can use, both quantitative and qualitative, we'll be addressing these two aspects of textual analysis. So just put it at in your mind that textual analysis is of two methods, qualitative and quantitative. And it's also important that we address some key theoretical issues. And now one of those theoretical issues is the tension between quantitative and qualitative approach. Now, as a field in one of the growing research methodologies we usually have now is textual analysis, discourse analysis, criticism, rhetorics, and all that. Now, whenever you are introducing textual analysis to your subject matter or to your research, it's always very it's objective that you balance it. If from the start you are only focusing on quantitative, then let your readers or let your reviewers be aware that you are only focusing on your quantitative. However, as a historian, from my background, it's always, you need to put it at the back of your mind that quantitative insight alone is not what you focus yourself to, because the field of history and of course social sciences and humanities, you need to also look at qualitative meaning, what beyond the numbers, what the context, either historical, cultural, and social, so that you avoid reductionism, so that you won't just oversimplify whatever you are discussing, or you take it out of context. And the other methodological issues with textual analysis is need for critical awareness of biases and limitations of the data or methods you are employing. Some of these tools, textual analysis tools, have their own biases and limitations. Of course, we all know that machine or tools are made by humans. Humans themselves are fallible, so also are machines. So you also need to take into consideration. At times, it's always advisable that you don't always focus yourself to just one textual analysis tools. You try as much as possible to use two or three to look at the relationship at which they arrive at a particular context or particular research question you are trying to drive at. And so once you are aware of these biases and limitations, it will also drive your argument, to drive your language or techniques you will be employing in your research. And now let's move to types of textual analysis. Textual analysis itself is a research methodology. And the types of textual analysis, we have content analysis. What do you mean by content analysis is, for instance, you can take a particular journal, maybe, for instance, the Journal of Historical Society of Nigeria, and look at from 1956, they've produced that journal to 2020, when the journal articles, you can look at the content. What have the researchers written about? What have they discussed? What are the research themes? And that will give you a rough idea of how far the historical profession itself, what research themes and subject matters historians over the years have concerned themselves with. And the second one is discourse analysis. This one, how arguments are put out, how around a particular subject matter. So you can, in this type of analysis, you can, for instance, maybe take a platform, maybe a social media platform. Let's take, for instance, Twitter, and look at how, maybe, for instance, how Labour parties, how the supporters or the obedience movement, of course, how they rally, how they were able to, put a kind of agenda settings in the campaigns towards the 2023 election. Now, sentiment analysis is also a kind of textual analysis that looks at, for instance, press releases of a particular establishment. You look at how they are being addressed, and of course, you can deploy a textual analysis software to do that for you. And the last one is quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative, for instance, you can look at word cloud, you can look at word maybe for instance, you have a particular topic or subject matter, you are looking at the number of words that has appeared in such work. For instance, we can take up the presidential speech of, let's say, the former president Buhari, and look at his speech he has made from 2015 to 2022, and look at what are those keywords that have been recorded in his presentation, in his speech. And moving on, let's discuss the benefits of textual analysis. Now, the benefits of textual analysis, basically, let's have a look at 4 of them. The benefits, one is uncovering hidden meanings and subtext in text. Now, let me mention that text alone is not, we are not limiting ourselves to a written document. Text can be an artifact, a theme. You are looking at what are other hidden meanings that even the producers themselves or the writers themselves might not be aware of. And when you uncover these hidden meanings, it will also expand the frontiers of research, and also what as a contribution. The second one is identifying sociocultural and historical context. When you pick up a book, of course, you would the methods, the way in which writers are now are writing or deploying figures of speech or parts of speech now are quite different from how it has been in the past. So you are identifying context in this time, and enabling. The third one is enabling large-scale analysis of textual data. Now you can gone are the days whereby you try to limit or give yourself a scope. Okay, now you can go as much as millions, not even thousands, millions of data to take up a study. For instance, yesterday I came across a research on TikTok they're embarking on, and they're looking at how TikTok influencers are pushing the frontiers of Afrobeat in the wake of challenges here and there. It's always the wave that whenever a new artist comes with a song, there's an attached challenge that comes with it. So these are large-scale analysis of textual data. You don't even need to do interview. Of course, there are rare attempts, but the fact that those things are there online, you can just deploy your textual analysis tools and it'll do that for you. And lastly, facilitating cross-disciplinary research collaborations. We can have historians coming together, anthropologists, archaeologists, media analysts, political, name it, and this would try and help us understand the world we live in. Now, moving on, now we are gradually going towards the tools we can make use of. Now we have natural language processing, which is SPICY and LTK. On the group 2 days ago, I shared a link about a particular webinar coming up on using textual analysis tools. I believe that particular link I shared on the WhatsApp group will be a avenue for you to go about this particular species I'm talking about. And the second one is word cloud generators, worded and tag cloud. If you want to check the frequency of words that have occurred in a particular work, and look at the relativity of such word to the work. These are word cloud generators. We also have topic modeling tools, how you can model your topics, and as a kind of agenda setting. And the last one is social network analysis tool, Gephi and Node Excel. You can deploy these textual analysis tools when you are dealing with maybe Facebook, Twitter. You want to see how social media behaviors have been going on, how it influenced either the hustling economy, for instance, and also how it also influenced maybe some other values we come across. Now, before I move now, let me give a brief practical do-it-yourself demonstration. Now, if you are with your system or with your system, and I'm quite sure everyone has JSTOR. Now, JSTOR, what most people are failed to understand is JSTOR itself has that particular tools you can use to analyze you. Now you can please can you see this particular interface on your screen? I need an answer. Hello, Titus. Confidence, Ephraim. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you, sir. I'm seeing
Now,
practical DIY demonstration.
Yes, you can. I just want to have a confirmation whether you are seeing the text analyzer on JSTOR. I'm about giving you a. Now, this is my account. As you can see, this is my name. This is my account with JSTOR. Now, when you go to JSTOR, it's very easy to navigate. You can come here, the tools, and this is the text analyzer. Now, I want to deploy it. I want to upload a particular document, and it would analyze that document for me. Now, the particular document I'll be opening, it has to do with it's a research on the Journal of Historical Society of Nigeria, the research on it over the years. Now, it was done by a researcher, and that would be our particular do-it-yourself session today. Now, I've clicked on the document. I'm uploading the document now. As you can see, it's analyzing text and identify topics. You can see. Now, this is the result of the textual text analyzer I'm using. Now, the topic of the text I uploaded is 50 years of independence. Is basically the title of the work is publishing in Nigeria in Historical Society of Nigeria journal, and they are looking at the patterns, how it has influenced research over the years. Now, these are other articles the researcher made use of. As you can see them, I'm scrolling down, and these are the prioritized items: post-colonial literature, publishing industry, apartheid, scholarly publishing. So you can from this you can see the basic essence of doing textual analysis. Instead of you reading a particular literature over and over again to get the particular sequence, or to get you can use this one to and give you that particular idea or particular sequence. And also, I will also be deploying another. One thing about this text analyzer is also that you can save it, you can store it. It's not something you just do, and you can save it, and whenever you are coming back, you would access it. So JSTOR, it's a free tool, particularly if you have an institutional affiliation. Maybe, for instance, your school has paid for the subscription in a particular area, they have a free access to it. So it's a free tool. You don't need no need for subscription. So that's why I'm making it as an example. And after this session, you can rally yourself around it and see what is in there for you. Now, the second one I will also be using is Constellate. Now, this Constellate is also a tool. It's also owned by Ithaca under JSTOR. Now, what Constellate does is that it's a data set. What do I mean by data set? Maybe, for instance, you want to make use of a particular journal. For instance, also let me permit me, I'll be making use of Journal of Historical Society of Nigeria. And you want to look at the journals, maybe you are confused about which editions you don't have or which part of. Now, what Constellate does it scrape all the database of that particular journal and gives you everything in the form of Excel. So that way you can, from that Excel sheet, you can locate the name of the author, the year, and any other thing you need, you can talk of when you are referencing a particular article. And one good thing about it is you can also use it for, just like what I'm about doing now. I clicked on the data set builder. Now, what I want to do is to look for the journal. For instance, as you can see on the publication title, I'm typing Journal of Historical Society of Nigeria. Now, as you can, I've typed the Journal of Historical Society of Nigeria. Now, what it does you can use, once you type it, you will click on build.
Sorry, Abdullah, I'm not sure if we can see your live screen. Or is it from my end? It's still that PowerPoint slide that is showing, not your browser.
Wow, not my browser.
Check it. Well, I don't know if it's my network PowerPoint saying yet.
Same here. Me, I thought it was my network.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that. I get it now. I didn't click on the particular interface I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry for that. Okay, now can you see? You can see the
Constellate
now.
Yeah, great.
Now, okay, this is the Constellate. Let me take it over again. Now, Constellate is a text also, just like you can see the interface: teach, learn, and perform text analysis with scholarly and primary source content from JSTOR, Protocol, and partners. Because JSTOR, of course, one particular about JSTOR is most Nigerian researchers. This is a leading journal database we do make use of. So, and I think that's a good one to start with. Now, this Constellate, what we just need to do is, once you have a JSTOR account, you can link it with your Constellate. Now, as you can see, this is a dataset builder, text analysis. They have a lot of tutorials, but I just want to just teach you the basic ones so that after this time out, you can go through their classes, event, number of documents. You can play with it after this time out. So but let's just limit ourselves to building a data set. Now I click on a data set, and maybe, for instance, I want to look at articles that have been published on Nigerian historiography. As you can see, you click enter and build. So I would give the data set a name: Nigerian historiography, confirm. And like that, what it's doing now is so you click now, I was able to get 830 documents from JSTOR on all journal articles on Nigerian historiography. So now what I can either visualize or download, depending, or even analyze. Now, if you download, what it gives you is, it gives you into a format of Excel spreadsheets, whereby you yourself can look at those particular articles you'll be interested in, instead of scrolling down and using your Google Scholar. It does it in a compact form. Now, what Visualize does, it gives you in a form of visual to look at the years, maybe the years whereby the research on JSTOR or on Nigerian historiography was at its highest point. Those you can see 1950, 1960, 70, up to 2020. Or you can ask it to analyze. Now, what this does is, what this textual analysis does is, now as you can see, it's giving us something on social, political theory, and all those things researchers have concerned themselves with. Those are, you can see next page 842. Now, if I'm to download, for instance, let me go back. Okay, if I'm to download, for instance, as you can see, I can download. Now you use the CSV. What CSV simply means is the Excel spreadsheet. So once you can also choose what other formats you want, but the CSV is the ones you should make use of mostly, because it can give you in a form of spreadsheet, and from that spreadsheet you can do as selection, more selection you want. Now the second practical I would be sharing. The second practical I'll be sharing is the particular software I shared on the group, which is Antcock. Can you see the screen? Can you still see the screen?
Yes, I can see.
Now, there's a particular text analysis also. I want to now is Antcock. Now, what Antcock does is a software that also do textual analysis depending on corpus. What do I mean by corpus? You know, when I was talking about the types of textual analysis, or what we can use for corpus, what word generating, how you can. Now this is the Antcock page. Just you can see on the screen a freeware corpus analysis toolkit for text concordancy and text analysis. It's a free software. What you need to do is you download the latest one, and once you download, you can play around it. They also have videos which you can watch. You can see the video tutorials. You can watch those video tutorials, and it will give you more on what you need. Now, because of time, this presentation, I don't want to go through the DIY session, and I believe that these softwares, these tools I've shared after this time, for those who are interested, you can also lay your hands on these softwares I've mentioned so far. Constellate by JSTOR and Antcock, just like the one you are seeing on your screen. Now, moving on to the next, the challenges. Now, the challenges and limitations that comes with using textual analysis. We cannot just talk about textual analysis without discussing some of the challenges they come with. Part of these challenges first include what we know as you need to acknowledge the limitations. We are not living in an era whereby you believe that once it's digital or once it's computer, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a lie. It's a big lie. You yourself as a researcher, you need to put at of course your limitations that, oh, this software, of course, in its computation can have one or two errors. It's understandable, but everywhere you need to bear in mind that you cannot have 100% accuracy with some of these textual analysis software. And the second one, the other one is ambiguity and interpretation. When working with this textual analysis, you also need to have an understanding that at times it comes out with ambiguity. It comes out with a lot of misinterpretation. So how do you manage this is whenever you are working on a particular textual analysis related work, you need to look out for researchers who have done similar things and ask one or two questions as it relates to your research question, how they were able to manage this. And what we also have is the last one is contextual complexities or subjectivity, or even bias itself. Some of these software, of course, they are written by codes by people from different part of the world, and it's everyone has his own bias when it comes to deploying some of these research tools. In this part of the world, just like I've shown you, we limit ourselves very much, maybe for instance to in vivo, yes, in vivo, or the other one, these other research tools in social science, I can't remember, SARS or something. We limit our, but there are other tools that are coming up day by day, but because of the issue of accessibility, we don't have them, or our particular institution, we don't have institutional access to them. We also need to understand these differences. So most of the software we are using are open source. It's free for everyone to use. So that it should be a starting point for you to understand that even as you are using these tools, there are some bias that comes with them. Now we are moving on to best practices. The best practices, one of the things you need to know is when you are doing textual analysis research, you need to have a guideline. What's guiding you? What's either is set by you, or of course by your supervisor, or both parties, and look at what you are. And you also need to clearly define your research questions. What part of your research questions you are using textual analysis for, either both in the quantitative method or the qualitative method, and also select appropriate text and sampling techniques. Don't just say you want to do textual analysis and you begin to have a mishmash of so many material. Look at the one that is speaking to your subject matter and make use of them. And also the last one is validate and triangulate findings through multiple approaches. I've mentioned this. Once you arrive using, you can run some of these textual analysis in 3 different softwares or tools: in vivo, Giphy, so many of them, and see what the results they are going to give you. And that would, by doing that, you are going to establish a kind of relationship and look at which one is tailored to your research question. And as a way of conclusion, before we conclude, I would like to mention that some of these resources and tools, we need to use them responsibly and ethically. Remember, they are softwares, and they are prone to ambiguity, to errors. But as researchers, we hold it to ourselves, academic integrity, properly attributing sources, and we evaluate such tools as we use them. And also, as in the world of this digital world we find ourselves, we need to keep updating ourselves to these new tools that are coming. And also, as from time to time, we offer ourselves resources on some of those things we've learned or we've come across. This brings me to the end of my session. But quickly, last week, one of these participants asked me a question on digital humanities. So I have some words, just like my overview showing on your screen, some words on digital humanities. Now let me quickly mention that digital humanities is relatively a new research field in Nigeria. Of course, we have Nigerian researchers overseas, abroad, already dealing with digital humanities, the likes of Dr. James. Most of his research interests are in the field of digital humanities. But let me quickly just brief in lay terms. Digital humanities refers to intersection of technology and humanities. Now, what it means is that you are deploying digital tools when you are discussing, or you are gaining insight into your subject matter, and you use those digital tools to explore, analyze, interpret cultural artifacts, historical records, other forms of human expression, semiotics, semiology, so much fields in the media and cultural studies. And how do we deploy some of these digital humanities in the case of Nigerian research ecosystem? We can use them to preserve and have access to our cultural heritage. Now, for instance, how do we use digital humanities to? Most of our museums, most of our galleries, is it possible that even without going to these places, can we have access to them in online? Can we have a feed of what it means to go to these places? So many other museums in US, UK have this 3D access. Of course, it's not free. It's a paid accessibility. Some are paid accessibility, but some are free. And how you can digitalize some of these historical documents. Now, this is when digital humanities is coming to play. Another instance is language and literary studies. Nigeria has over 500 spoken languages, but some of these languages linguists have observed are dying. And it goes to show that one of the things digital humanities can do is they can curate some of these corpus, some of these dictionaries, some of these resources, and have them stored so that some people can have access to these texts. And another one we have oral history and digital archives. For instance, at the graduate of UI, I'm sure UI, my department then has this idea of this practice of oral history. Whenever you conduct a particular research having to do with, maybe you use oral interview, oral tradition, you save them in the disk and you store them. But the problem is accessibility, or how long can this disk, this media storage, how long can they go for? So these are instances of digital humanities. And also we have data visualization, geographic mapping, collaborative efforts, and other interactive educational resources that we can reach a wider audience even beyond the academia. That's what digital humanities aims to achieve. We are not looking at the academic community alone. We are looking at the audience at the digital level, a wider audience beyond the academic. This brings me to the end of my session. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Abdullah, for that one presentation. I was actually blown away by the revelations on digital humanities. I just realized that what I've always thought digital humanities is just one quarter of what it actually is. Thank you for that. So without further ado, I'd like to take questions. If we have any questions for Abdullah, both on the previous week's topic for those of us who were there, and today's topic on textual analysis. But maybe I should say borrowing. I noted down some things, particularly on the use of constellates. I wish you could take us more, but yeah, because of our time constraints. But hopefully we'll explore that at a deeper level sometime. And interestingly, by next month, hopefully Dr. Akintela will be taking us on another aspect of text analysis. So maybe we'll be able to explore some of these tools. On Constellate, does it work with other databases than JSTOR, or only JSTOR? 1, 2, the articles that are retrieved, and I'm trying to view the database now, or a data set. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I'm just curious. Is it just the content in terms of the abstract of those articles, or what other parameters does it include?
Okay.
Then finally,
okay.
Yeah, there are 3 parts. There are 3 questions. Finally, yes, I get the part where we need to be databases of these articles, but do you think it is possible to write a research paper from the several databases? I know this is like a question that might already have its answer, but I need to reflect on that. What if I download a data set from this Constellate, I create a data set and I download it. How do I move on to writing a paper from the data set that I have created? Thank you.
Okay, let me start with your last question. Now, actually, I did my master's, and what I actually did was on publishing books that were published on Nigerian history from 1980 to 2005. Now, I wanted to take it little bit forward by looking at journal articles, because there was a time we had a publishing crisis in Nigeria. Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of digress so that you understand where I'm going, what you can use this downloaded text for. Now, what I did was I downloaded these journal articles from 1956 to 2020. Now, between 1980 to 2004, there was no journal articles published in the Nigerian Journal of Nigerian Historical Society of Nigeria. It's there on the data set when you download it. You can check for yourself. As in, it's not about, someone will say you will now start looking for what is not written or why was the reason. But because I understood that at that particular time there was a publishing crisis because of the anti-SAP stuff and all of you, there were a lot of crises then in the academic community. And it was even at this period, 1980s, 90s, that we have a lot of our great scholars, erudite scholars that went abroad, and most of them are still there anyway. But of course, once you understand the pattern, what I'm driving basically at is that what you can use what you downloaded for is way more than what you can think of. You can once you understand that, okay, when you do your research in the library, you've conducted a lot of books, you cannot see this particular one in the books that will tell you that, okay, from this time to this time, it was not published. But because when you download this data research, you can use it for instance, you can use it for looking at the sequence. Maybe for instance, a particular year, you want to check a decade, what has been the trend of the research going on. And let me also mention, it's not even limited to only Journal of Historical Society of Nigeria. I'm only mentioning because Journal of Historical Society of Nigeria is indexed in JSTOR. There are a lot of journals Nigerians are using that are not indexed. So that will be a problem, you understand? Because it's not digitized, it's not there online. So that's where the problem comes in.
Okay.
You understand? You understand? Yeah. Because this particular journals is indexed. There are a lot of journals that are not indexed at all. You need to go to the library and you need to be rigorous. But I'm only coming up with this one because it's indexed. You understand? Now, your second question. I'm sorry, did I take that correctly?
Yeah, that's okay. Yes, I understand that. So there are multiple uses of it. And in fact, I'm already reviewing the data sets and I see that the link to that, the DOI, the
yes, you have you have the DOIs. What you can even see, what you can also do with it is the fact that you can, at the point of generating that data set, you can give it a kind of command. Maybe you don't want from the whole year, you want just from 2010 to 2015. You don't want journal articles, you only want book reviews. It's going to give you. So it's not, you can always make your way around it. Sorry, can you recap the second question, please?
Yeah, you answered it in telling me what exactly I can find, and I'm seeing that myself. I was asking if other than just the title of the articles that you search for, are there other details like the abstract or what other content? But that was before I opened the data set. Now I think that I'll have to click on the link if I want to read the full article.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly, yes. In fact, the DOI is even enough. There are ways you can, even from the DOI of a particular article, you can get it. Maybe that's another topic for another day, even beyond using paywall and not paying for it. That's another discussion. But I'm very sure you are also aware of how you can access journal articles for free using the DOI alone. All of us are using SciHub. I mean, it's it's a common knowledge for we researchers anyway. So
I'm sure you know it's illegal. I'm sure you know it's illegal in some countries. One of my friends in Japan, yes, PSYOP
yeah,
is. I know that they
yeah,
always clamping on El Baki and the founder of PSYOP, the lady. But
yeah, but
that's
she
like you said, it's a bit mad because I personally think that that's actually how to decolonize knowledge production. And maybe that will lead me to the second question. This whole idea of the digital and humanities is somehow related to the concept of open science or the movement called open science. And what open science advocates for is that the resources that are used for research and the data itself should be made available to the public, especially those that were paid for with taxpayers' money. And that's a very important thing because many people are alienated from the research findings of researchers whom they fund directly or indirectly. How would I be paying my tax and they are funding a government establishment that ought to do research on, say, social and economic development, and I don't have data on social and economic development? Recently at my workplace, I had to compile basic data on West Africa, and I had to scrape the internet for, valued data on West Africa. And guess where I got most of this data? From the CIA fact book. So that is to share
exactly.
exactly.
That's the it's I think we need to start from first. We need to understand that Nigeria is not a knowledge-based economy. We are not running research based on for the sake of knowledge. We are just doing it there are so many. For instance, there's nothing nicer. I think you are working with nicer. You mentioned something about nicer the other time.
NIA, but I was yeah.
See, there are a lot of data in NISA, but nobody is saying anything about them. They are just there in the library. They are not. Nobody is thinking of bringing them up. And we also need to understand that data from all these other external agencies might have agendas in them, because it's not really a depiction of what the data you have on ground. What they do particularly is more of triangulation, estimation. It's not particular about this is what we get. You understand? So we are not there yet, and it's a challenge that I believe maybe this generation of scholars would be looking at, because the decolonization agenda, yes, those ones that we're able to do, but right now the issue now is more of digital. It's more of those things that you've stored, the accessibility. How do you throw it open? How do you want researchers to have access to them, and we can have another explore another maybe research things for interrogation or what have you. Thank you very much for that beautiful insight. Sorry, do you have any other question? Hello, to anyone of the presenters, can you hear me? Do you have any other question?
At the moment, no. There's a lot to take in. So, thank you.
Okay.
That's for me.
Okay. Are we on the group on GRC WhatsApp group?
Okay, I'm not on the WhatsApp group. I just joined the Telegram group. You sent me the link, the GRC link. So I just joined. I just registered and joined the Telegram.
Okay, no problem. In case you have maybe any other questions after this time out, I will drop my mail in the chat session so that you can reach out.